Thomas, thank you for those kind words, and I appreciate the opportunity to come out here tonight and be with you guys. I'm not going to try to debate you on the Constitution. That sounds like you guys are way ahead of me on this, but I'm glad that you're doing these classes, and I wish we could do them in our schools like you're doing here. Myself, most of you know me. You know where I stand on almost all issues. I mean, we've tried to talk about all of them. Maybe I ought to tell you a little bit about more who I am and why I've gotten this far, why I've set out to do what we've done. Like I've said before, most of my life I was just content to vote and roll with the rest of them and, you know, let it go at that. But things have changed, and as I said before, in 1999 when Bill Clinton started gun control was what really thrust me into the political aspect of things. But I can look back and maybe I ought to tell you a little some of the things about myself. You know, I graduated high school in 1966 from Mater Dei. And I was never one to be out in the public. I never was one, even in school, I didn't raise my hand. I didn't want the teacher to call on me. Just, you know, give me my seat and I'll go through school. You'll never know I was here, you know, so let me go. In 1966, there was a lot of things going on. And most of you in here that's about my age remember those days. And I got to reflecting back on it, I guess because I'm in a Senate race with a real young guy who's a nice fella. But I got to thinking that, you know, the things that he may know, he probably learned from textbooks. And I'm old enough to have experienced those things. In 1966, the war in Vietnam was raging. And every night the news was on. My dad was glued to the TV watching Huntley and Brinkley or the other newscasters. Yeah. And William Cronkite and all of those guys. And I know Dad was really concerned because he had a son that was just of the drafting age. Now me, what was occupying my mind, I was thinking about getting me a date for the weekend and someday owning a muscle car. I wasn't the least bit concerned about that war. But I do know I'd come home at night and Dad would have the news on, and I'd seen the riots in the streets, the young men burning their draft cards, the protests, the young girls burning their bras. That was all going on. The race riots was going on. The cities was in fire. A lot of things was happening. We went through, or we was going to go through the assassinations of the president and a lot of our political figures. I can remember when I was going to school, after high school, my dad, he wanted me to go to college. I think mainly he just didn't want me to wind up in the military. And they just had their heart set on me going to school. I was going to Lockyear's Business College, and this was in 1967, I guess, or 68, I guess it was. And Governor Wallace, George Wallace, was in town. And the Lockyear's Business College I was going to was downtown across the street from the courthouse. And Wallace was there, and it was a crowd of people. The place was jam-packed. The blacks was there, the whites were there. Wallace was giving his speech. Tensions were running high. There was yelling at each other. Some fights broke out. That was America. That's what was going on every single day. Of course, Uncle Sam finally caught up with me too, and he had a job he wanted to offer me, and travel included. So I answered that call, and I remember the night before I was about to leave. My dad was talking to me, and I told Dad, I said, you know, Dad, I said, I'm not scared. I'm not scared. I guess I was too young to be scared. I said, I'm not afraid to go. And I was a little bit excited. I didn't know what was ahead of me. I guess if I did, then I would have been scared. But I just didn't have the sense at the time to be scared. And went through basic training, went through my AIT down in Georgia, and then away I went, heading for Vietnam. And still, I wasn't all that alarmed about it. And all of this happened so fast, you know. And I don't know, I don't remember all the thoughts racing through my mind on that long flight going over to Southeast Asia, but I know when we landed, it was dark, and it was raining, and I knew now I wasn't in Kansas no more. And So, as wasn't long, I was down in Saigon for a while until I got assigned to my outfit. I was stuck in 101st Airborne, which, you know, everybody on the flight over said, that's one outfit you don't want to get in. You don't want to get in 101st. Like you had a choice. I mean, they put you where they need you. When we got in, I'll never forget, you know, they had us lined up in a pitch dark, standing in the rain. They said the following men, they called off the different units, 82nd, you know, the infantry units, 1st Cav, and then they got down to 101st, and everybody's all, you know, oh man. And they called my name, and I thought, oh, this ain't good. Because they said, I'm not supposed to be in 101st. I remember asking that sergeant, Sergeant, are you sure? He said, what's your name, boy? I told him, he said, you're in 101st. I think that was the end of the discussion. And I remember the first night in my unit, I was stationed up about 18 miles south of the demilitarized zone, the DMZ. And that very first night, the first day there, I was really asking, I was really interested in how often they get attacked up there. And these guys told me, hey, they don't bother us, it's no problem up here. They haven't bothered us in a long time. Everybody was confident that we were okay, and I took their word for it. That night, we come under rocket mortar fire. And I got to tell you, then I was scared. I grabbed my M16, my 2 belts of 2 bandoliers of ammo, and my steel pot, and I did not know where I was going. I was out in the dark, pitch dark, didn't know anybody, didn't know where I was at. Some guy yelled at me, he was down in a trench, said, come on down here, with some second lieutenants. And I climbed down there with them, and I got to tell you, I was scared. And from then on, I was scared the rest of my time over there. Now, you learn to cope with it, and you adjust. But anybody who tells you they weren't scared are either lying or they're just darn stupid. Because when those rockets, those 122s would hit the ground, they'd knock a hole in the ground 3 feet deep and about 4 foot across. And they meant business. And I knew somebody was wanting to kill me that didn't even know me. But I endured. I come home. And again, I was ready to, Margie and I, we got married, and I was ready to just go back and to pick up where I left off. There was a lot of adjustment, and I knew I'd changed a lot from that year in Vietnam. But I was still satisfied just to live my life. But like I said, 1999, when Bill Clinton started in, and I had recognized then that there's people in this world and in this country that won't let other people alone. They are determined to impose their will on us. Yeah. And I've seen the destruction and the weathering away of our liberties and our freedoms. And for somebody that has experienced, like I have, and there was many a soldier that did, I was one of the fortunate ones to come back. Because in that war, you could be talking to somebody, and I had this happen many times, where I'd be talking to someone. I was in a helicopter unit, and my job was to work on the radial systems, but occasionally I would fly door gunner. And it was not uncommon to be talking to somebody, and the next minute, that person's dead. That young soldier is going home in a body bag. And I would look at that, and I would think that that fellow's parents, his wife, his kids, bad news is coming their way. They don't even know about you. And, you know, in a war, you think about a lot of things that you wouldn't normally think of otherwise. A lot of people today roaming the streets here talk about what they will do and how it's going to be for them. But, you know, being in a war, seeing a country that has no freedoms, where the buildings are bombed out, churches completely blown away, mountaintops completely destroyed. A B-52 strike, I was close to one the first time I encountered one of those. When the clouds lifted, the entire mountaintop was gone.